All right. Well, I figured it out. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Coffee Run. It's John from ProCraps. What happened is this. At yesterday's show, because I canceled it, I set it to private and just walked away so that, people wouldn't be sitting around waiting for it. I rekindled that show this morning, but I never changed it from private to public so you couldn't see it. I was talking to myself for 5 minutes over here and nobody could see it until I realized that I had it on private. So I had to reset the show. Anyway, here we are. It'll be a slow arriving audience probably today. So in chat, start chatting, and folks will hopefully join us soon if they want to. But anyway, welcome here. I'm going to do a couple of quick announcements that we'll just kind of jump into playing around a little bit. So first things first, we canceled the shows yesterday because my mom got put in the hospital. She went to the hospital the night before, or the day before actually. She was in there most of the day. She had some blood clots or whatever. She'll be fine. It's not the end of the world, right? She's okay. They got everything figured out. But because she was in, that of course, my brother and I talked, my sister and I talked. Before you know it, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you're talking to family all day, catching up and stuff like that. I was so burnt and tired when I woke up. I couldn't do the shows. I'm like, man, I'm just too beat. I can't do this. So I just said, screw it. We'll turn the shows off. And that's why no shows yesterday. Anyway, all that to be said, things are fixed up now. We're good. Today is my birthday. I got my shirt on. I'm Making America Great since 1968, right? So we had fun on Daily Paycheck. If you missed that show today, we had a good time. I basically I pulled the dice degen, actually. I made every bet out there, because it's 912, right? So every bet was either 900 or 1200, or some reasonable facsimile between those two, and then we put all the rest of the dealers. And I think I PSO'd on the first shooter, and then I made 5K on the second shooter. So all told, even though we PSO'd there, I actually brought 20K off the table on that shooter number 2. It was super fun. And I didn't do anything crazy. I just put up, my normal bet sizes out there, basically, and the same bet until the 7 came. Just never stopped. And instead of pulling down and running, we just same betted it forever. And just, had a good old time with it. Kind of a who cares day, right? But that's it. Today's show is going to be about big money plays, and we'll talk about that in a minute, why I'm doing this and where the kind of the impetus of this thing comes from, and we'll get into it here in just a minute. But before that, let's jump in and remind you folks of the schedule that's coming up here. We already did the Heavy Halton birthday. Coming up in October, I'll be out there. I think I arrive the 16th, Wednesday. Of October, and I stay through Monday the 22nd. That's for 2 things. One, Big AZ meetup, and right after that, Craps for the Cure. So it's like I'm going to be filming some table play with Big AZ and the crew, turn right around, go to Craps for the Cure. So it's going to be like basically a week of degeneracy in Vegas. Should be a lot of fun though, you know what I mean? But that's that. So Craps for the Cure stuff, I'll give you some announcements here in a minute of what's happening, and hopefully you can start buying some swag and that kind of thing. We have a couple of cruises coming up, DiceCon, Brownwater Bash, all the fun, including weekends at CQ, where hopefully I will be integrated in there pretty soon and start doing some teaching and some sessions and some experience work and that kind of thing. So it should be really cool. As that materializes, I'll make more announcements on it, but that's what's happening there. And all that, of course, working with Premier Hosting is starting to it's all kind of coalescing, right? Like the Premier Hosting, as a host with them, the 2 cruises are kind of my thing. I'm kind of running the 2 cruises. I'm going to be your official host for the cruises, which is, what that's designed for. And also the stuff with CQ, bringing customers through the gambling, new customers, new players through the gambling experience and giving them a hosted experience along the way also helps me out with my work at Premier. So it's going to be really a good marriage there. So I'm stoked about what's happening in the world over here. Daily Paycheck today was interesting. I said we made big weird bets, which was cool, right? Weird in terms of sizing. You don't ever really bet a $1,200 9. It's just a weird number. But 912, why not do it, right? Again, the 6 and 8, I think I made them. What did I make the 6? I made the 6 and 8 and the 5. The bets on those numbers were $912, right? Instead of 900, 908, I made them 912 as the bets. So they paid really weird. It paid like whatever, 1164 or something. It's some crazy number. And we just had a good old time with it today. It was actually pretty fun. We're 5-1 for the month. We had the one bad day. Today started out like a bad day, but we recovered from it and we did okay. We're doing our thing, right? You're 5-1, 4-1. That's how you make your money paycheck style, right? I say this all the time. Like, craps is what it is. Gambling is what it is. You're going to lose probably at the expected rate. Now, if you go across betting, right, what is your expected win rate going across, right? It's here, 80% or so, right? You're fighting this, you get 24 ways to win, 6 ways to lose, right? 80% or so win rate, that's kind of where we are. This is where you ought to be. If you're here and your wins are bigger than your losses, which we are, your combined wins, not each win, but your combined wins add up to more than you lose when you do lose, you're going to be coming out ahead. And that's the whole, like, if there's a secret to this sport, that's the secret to it, right? Win $2,000 5 times, lose $5,000 one time, you're ahead by a little bit. Like, that's just the math of it, right? That's all we're trying to do. I'm not trying to, beat the 7 with an amazing SRR or anything like that. I'm hoping that I can, but that's not the goal. The goal is just to win enough times like I'm supposed to at the right number to cover up the losses and end up with a profit for the month. That is it. That's the whole thing. And we've been doing it for the better part of 200 and some days. Some days we get beat, some days we win, but most of the time the wins are bigger or big enough to cover. That's really it. This is where discipline plays in. I know that people who are all in on the math of the game are right? You cannot, quote unquote, beat the game. If you same bet forever, you can't beat the game, right? It's just this. It's getting a little bit lucky. It's making sure that your 5 wins come also before the losses come so that you don't have the lot, you start from negative. But it doesn't take much to be disciplined and say, hit, buy, hit, buy. It's not hard to do that. Or it's hard to do that mentally, but it's not hard to get a couple of hits and boogie out of there, right? And it seems to be working, right? It seems to be working. You're watching it happen most days, right? And I think that's it. It's just you're still playing possum or whatever. You're still playing hide and seek with the 7 when you're across betting like I do. The wins don't outpace what they're supposed. I'm not winning more than I'm supposed to. I'm just winning more money than I'm losing, because I'm not going in there and going shoving all in, and I'm not staying too long, right? I think that little bit of a move that we make there with the discipline part is really, I think it's a difference maker. That's just my personal opinion. Maybe math doesn't support that, but that sure is what's happening right now. Anyway, overall, we're at $60,000 in profit overall, which means our bankroll now, with the 10,000 we started with, is 70. Okay. So we're inching closer and closer and closer. So we're getting to the point where the show's going to be over. We'll hit our 100K at some point, I hope. If I don't go 10 in a row losing, right, that would suck. But we're getting there, right? And then we'll do something else. We'll change that show into something different. We'll merge these 2 shows. We'll do something different. Okay, something different coming up. All right, quick Craps for the Cure update is a couple of things. One is going to be the scheduling. So here's the thing, the donation streams are all set up, right? You can do pre-event donations right now. Go to crapsforthecure.com right now, right? You can go there, you can donate, you can buy your tickets. All of that is available to you right now, okay? I've got a swag store up. I don't know that it's on the channel. Let me just do a quick little look over here. Hold on one second. I'm going to go and check. I don't think that it's here yet. My channel, it should be. Hold on. Let me go here. Earn. Shopping. Hang on a second. I'm going to do this live because I probably should have done it the other day. Let's see. Customize the channel, CDTV stuff. I don't know that we have the... Let's see. I don't think that it's available yet on the store. It's not. Okay. I'll get it up here. On the site, and there's also a link to it, but you can buy like a mug, a sticker, you can buy a shirt, all the things that have the Craps for the Cure logo on them. That's coming up here. That swag store will be available to us after the show. I'll do that right away. We're going to do Crapsy donations during the show. We're going to have somebody log in rolls from a live table. You won't be able to watch the live table. We can't live stream at the casino, but you'll be able to at least participate in the live rolls by somebody, which is going to be super cool. We've never done that before. Raffle items are coming into place. Again, go to crapsforthecure.com and you'll see that we've got at least the cruises up there for raffle items. The rest of them, I'm going to get pictures up there today and tomorrow. So we'll have the full raffle system set up. You can start buying tickets now. Live stream super chats won't be available until the day of the show. I'm working on drop boxes and stuff too. So that's all happening, okay? As far as the event schedule goes, or as far as the donation items go, the raffle items will be these: the custom table from Craps Master Journey, Heavy Haltham's put a class up, Dice Coach has put up a class, I'm putting up a cruise with me here out of Seattle, Garrison has put up the Super System, I think also a signed book, I'm not sure. Casino Player Magazine's put up a bunch of subscriptions. Casino Tiers is putting up a pro pack with like a hat, a shirt, dice, all their swag. Tony Leo from Wade is putting up 4 phone consultations with him. And one of our subscribers is putting up a wood carving, which I'll get a picture of here pretty soon. You'll see that. It's really, really cool. Not a lot of items like we have done in the past, but items that are more meaningful and larger in size. Hopefully that'll drive up the number of raffles that we sell. So that's going to be what's happening there. And then as far as the schedule goes, Garrison's confirmed. So we'll do the morning. The first morning is going to be me and Lori doing coffee and craps like we did last year. I'll bring Garrison on. He's going to talk a little bit about like why we lose at craps. Like probably a lot of mental stuff, like a lot of mental, like what's going on here. Throughout that day, we're going to have casino representatives talking to us about comps and ratings and all of that, about working with casino credit and marker play, that kind of thing. I've got segments with Tony Leo, with Dice Coach, with Daddy David, doing some bet pressing stuff. Chuck from Crapsy, of course, will be there. Premier Hosting's going to be there. Brian from Holy Roller is going to do a segment. I talked to Ryan from Mark the Point last night. Ryan is a Carnival Cruise guy. Brian is more of a Royal guy. Boom, we're going to have a little round table about cruising and craps. It's going to be fantastic. A lot of good things happening. A lot of great educational segments. One thing I've done is, for fun, I'll show you this. This is kind of like a little bit of a peek behind the scenes here, but let me show you this. If I go back to my YouTube channel and I go to the content section, under the lives, I have all these videos here. You can barely see them, that we never did. Remember Gambling 101, 201, 301? In Gambling 201, I had these videos set up. How do ratings work? How does comps work? How do markers work, right? What happens if you win too much money? What does security do for you, right? How do you manage your money? How do you deal with the W-2, the W-2G when you win too much? All these things I had planned to do in that series and never did them because these are things that I know a little bit about, but not all of it about, right? So I wanted to kind of get some casino reps to be on with me and talk through that with us. Well, guess what? During Craps for the Cure, I get to ask all these questions. So these videos will end up becoming part of the Gambling 201 series in arrears once I've interviewed guys that can answer these questions for us. So part of this whole thing is that I wanted to obviously have a great charity event and learn some stuff, right? But also we can backfill some of the Gambling 201 series with professionals who know this stuff. So that's kind of why I've got those segments sort of there. It's going to really help us out in the long run. So I'm looking forward to it. I have not approached Palace for a donation like 3 nights stay, but through Premier, we may be able to do something like that. Premier and David both have really good relationships with station properties. We may be able to do something like that. That's a great idea. That's a great idea, Dan. Okay, so we might do some competitions. I'm not sure yet. I gotta really think schedule. It's going to be kind of by the hip on some of that stuff because of timing. But yeah, accuracy shooting, like target practice, that kind of things. We'll do, of course, lots of that stuff as we go along. Okay, so to answer the question that Skill asks, embracing the big, what does it mean to you? Well, it means something different to everybody. And what it means to me is this, and I made this comment the other day. I'm not, how do I say this right? I love craps, and I've been grinding my whole life, right? I've told you my story, right? I started out playing when I was younger, and of course had no money, right? We had just gotten married, and for me to go to a casino with $100 was like life-changing money for me. Like both of us had $100. It was like, geez, we would, please, let's take care of our money, right? Let's be careful with it. I learned how to grind at a $3 table, right? I mean, it was $3.06 and a little don't come, right? That's what I used to do. Or a little bit of a come ladder, $3, $4, $5 come ladder, right? Super tiny bets, and ground my way to making $100 last me the weekend. That's kind of what I used to do. Like, can I play to last? And we talk about this all the time. What is your goals, right? Your goals sometimes are to win money. always win money, right? But sometimes your goal is to build your bankroll. And I was talking to a friend of mine over chat yesterday, and a little bit over in the comments of a video from last week or earlier in the week. And they say things like, hey, it doesn't matter. Like winning a little bit, winning a lot, grinding out, going for big. None of it really matters, right? Mathematically speaking, none of it really matters. And I get that, right? And I can do it depends on what your goal is discussion all the time. It doesn't change anything. Maybe that's true, right? Over the course of many, many outcomes, it doesn't really matter, right? But when you're going to the casino with $100 and you say, I got to last 2 days with $100, you play differently. You're not going out there 96 across on the first shooter and burning your $100 on a PSO and having no weekend. Now, granted, you'll probably win that bet 24 times before you lose it once and maybe be just fine, mathematically speaking. But the experience at the table is, I'm not going to put the whole damn thing at risk when I know I have to last for another 11 hours of play. Like, this is dumbness, right? That's why it depends what you're going to bet on, what your strategy that you choose is. It depends on your situation. Situationally, I have X dollars, I have X time, I have X goal. You merge all that shit together and you come up with, today we're going to do bigger bets for a short time. Tomorrow I'm going to do tiny bets for a long time. Okay, because I want to stretch out time or optimize time. That's kind of that's why I say it depends on what I choose, right? Anyway, what does big mean? To me, this is me talking, and take big as your own thing, how you view it. For me, big means higher than table minimum, or playing at a higher table minimum than I'm used to playing at. If I'm hunting down $10 tables and I'm playing 64 across, I'm betting as low as I can go. You can't go anywhere from there, right? You're only going to be able to build your bets up. And even then, if you're sweating the $64, you're in a world of hurt, right? And that's one way of looking at it. If I go to a $25 table, that same $64 becomes a $30 6 and 8, right? And instead of winning $14, I'm winning $35 on a win. Granted, an across bet wins more often than the 6 and 8 do. So my likelihood of winning the $35 is less frequent than the across bets winning 14. However, the win that I get is meaningful, right? That's what I mean by betting bigger, going a little bit more than you probably normally would, right? So the wins that come back stack the rack a little bit quicker, okay? We've talked about this a lot. Winning more often with less work is a ideal place to be, right? But things to consider are this, and we talked about this once a while back, right? Meaningful wins in terms of the amount, the physical, like green chip versus red chip, right? Or black versus green, but also as a percentage of your goal. If your goal is to win $100, right? Trust me, winning $100 in 2 or 4 hits, way better than trying to get it $10 wins, right? It's just easier. Daily paycheck, right? Let me win a couple of $1,000 in 2 hits. Let me get 500, and done, right? Instead of winning 100, like I could go out there with the 75-100 iron cross, right? Winning $100 a roll or $75 a roll. If my goal is $2,000, I got to win 20 freaking times. That's never going to happen. It can happen, right? But it's hard. It's so much harder to win that number with those little tiny wins, right? If you're looking to win 2K, you ramp the bets up and win less number of times. That makes it easier. I referenced a video we saw that a math guy did. I think it was on Number File about, he said if you try to win $100 at roulette, right? And one player's got 100. 2 players have $100, right? One player just puts all $100 on red, right? The other player puts $1 on red. They're gonna bet $1 a spin, right, to win $100. They're putting way less money at risk. One player's got $100. Who has a better chance of winning $100? Right? Think about that, right? One guy's got a 50-50 shot. He's going to lose 100 or win 100. The other person trying to win 100 $1 bets will almost never get there. It's like a 2% chance that person ever gets it. It's almost impossible to win with the tiny bets because you got to win too many times and the losses become unrecoverable. You end up making a bigger hole. When I watched that video and talking to my good friend, my mathematician friend, you have these conversations that are super meaningful. Like, you know what? You can't do it dinking and dunking. You can dink and dunk for a tiny paycheck and dink and dunk for tiny little wins. And that's fine. You want to build your bankroll $10 at a time, that's cool, but it's going to take you 20 years to get $1,000, right? That's not going to get it done, right? That's why on the daily paycheck, we compound our wins, right? If I have $1,000 and I win 100, the next day my buy-in's 1,100. And my goal is 110, not 100. If I win the 110, the next day I'm at 1220 is my buy-in. My new win goal is 120. You start doing that, and the bets get bigger to meet that same goal. This, to me, becomes the way to do it, right? So going big just means that. Let's try and reduce the number of times I have to win to get there. Because you shrink that number, you're winning, your expected ability to get there just increases. Now, again, you can still get your ass kicked. I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but in that roulette example, I'll take the 50-50 chance versus the 2% chance all day long. Yeah, you're going to get whacked half the time. Half the time you're going to win it. That's great. Now, go to craps, right? 16% of the time you're going to get whacked, and 80% of the time you're going to win it. That's a better little goal. And if those wins are meaningful sized wins, boom, 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 out. Right? That's the way we look at it. That's the way I'm looking at it. So that's kind of where I'm coming to with the meaningful bet sizes. Things are bigger. More things to consider is this too. Bigger bet size doesn't mean you're going on blast. It doesn't mean going from 64 across to 320 across. We're not going on blast. It just means that each win becomes more significant. And the way that you approach the money is different. I talked about this before about leveraging your money to win more, right? Why don't we go to the table? I'm gonna kind of talk through it a little bit. What I'm thinking when I say leverage the money, I want to show you what I'm talking through. So let's walk out there, and I'll put some bets on. There's my secondary win from the morning show. Let me walk out here. You may get some echo because of the room, but let's do it anyway. Got my coffee. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Let's take this out. We'll take all this money back where it goes into the other rack. Okay, so let's look at a leveraged play. And what I mean by leveraged play is this. If you take 25 bucks, okay, and we'll do a little bit of a percentage per shooter kind of a thing, right? So let's just say $25 on the don't pass. And it doesn't matter what line you choose. It really doesn't matter. We'll just take the don't because it's closer to me, okay? And we'll do a quick progression, right? Which is, again, on a $10 table, that's more than you might want to play. On a $10 table, you're probably playing 10 bucks on the line, right? Most people aren't going out there higher than minimum, right? But again, significant wins are different colors, right? We'll take a $25 win, okay? So $25 comes back and wins. Now, when I say leverage your money, right, we look at this and say, okay, that was a win. That can be pocketed and put in the rack, right? Or you can, again, leverage your money to make more money. Like you press up in here, the power play is to go there and leverage your win. What is your risk? Your risk is still 25 bucks. Okay, you're still risking the same money. New shooter, in this case, don't pass, it would be a new shooter. You're risking 25 bucks. On the first guy, you won. You're still risking 25 bucks on the second shooter. You just have two bets out there, right? You leverage that first one, right? And if it comes back to you, that's great. You've turned 25 into 75, okay? That's a leveraged win. That's taking your wins. Now you can say, look, now I've got 100 bucks total in the rack, okay? What does my next bet look like? If my first bet was, let's say I was allocating $1,000 today, right? My first bet was 25 bucks. What percentage of 1,000 is 25? Well, now I've got 1,100, okay? Which means my next bet becomes a percentage of what's in my rack now. So instead of going back out, I took the 25, made it look like this. I might take that and go, you know what? We're gonna go higher this way on the second piece. Again, leveraging a percentage of my bankroll on a higher bet on the next round through. So there's that. Let's say that we win it again, right? We're on a great run here, right? You do that and you stack that win like so. Again, a little press and come back to earth. Now you're gonna win 70 bucks. Let's get it out there, 70 bucks on that win right there. And what does your rack look like now? If you go back to your original risk of 25 bucks, that's now turned into 125, 175 in profit. Now your rack looks like about 1,200 bucks. Okay, from a percentage standpoint, your next bet becomes that. And again, you leverage what's in your rack to increase the size of the bet. And again, I'm talking about $1,000, even $500 bankroll. $25 bet higher than table minimum. And in a few wins, you end up having a new base bet. What is my risk, by the way? It's still the original quarter, right? Until I lose it, my risk is still the original quarter. And you can take any kind of a progression down here. We've talked about progression betting all for years, right? 100 wins a quarter, stack it. Win 2, stack it. On the third win that wins $100, your initial quarter turned into that, right? You can pack 3 in a row with 1 unit at risk. And again, not regressing after a loss, not panicking and chasing the wins and going up, just saying, I'm gonna risk a quarter and I'm gonna try and get 3 in a row, right? There's 2 wins. I'm gonna try and get 3 wins in a row. Leverage the money as you go. If you wanna increase the bet size, like I showed the first time, fine too, right? That's what I mean by embracing bigger bets, right? A little higher than minimum, comes back at a quarter or more, and trying to turn that into $100 if I can, right? 6 and 8, same thing. If I'm at a $10 table and I'm here on a $30 6 and 8, okay? And again, instead of going 64 across and winning $14, $14, and grinding away, right? Take the 6 for $35, right? And make it look like 42. Drop $2 from your rack and go to 42 with it. Okay, take the next hit, 50 for 1, and come back down. And look where you are, right? That covered both bets plus a meaningful number in profit. A simple double tap sometimes is all you need. And again, if you think about going in higher than table minimum and just getting the deal done, it's a significant win. $50 and out is a significant $50 and okay, I'm done for that shooter. Going home, man. Done for the shooter, right? Go back out for shooter number 2, right? With profit. Not bad deal, right? Get done. Take your 1 hit and turn it off if you want to. But that's what I'm saying. Leverage the bigger bets. If you wanted to do that same thing and go all the way down, like take your $35 on that win, right? Make it look like $42. Take your 50 for 1 and take the whole freaking thing back down to table minimum, right? And look at that. You bring back a clean $50 on the shooter, right? On that one number. Again, leverage the bigger bet size to make your wins more meaningful. And if your goal was $100, you pull that move off 2 times and you're out, right? Twice that move and you're done for the day. 30 on the 8, 30 on the 6. If that happens on both numbers or one number twice, you're done. 35 looks like 42, quarter to the rack. 35 looks like 42, quarter to your rack. Either one of those things hits for 50 for 1, there's your $100 in profit, plus this, you're done, right? That leverage with the bigger bet size makes a black chip coming home. It's actually 125 effectively coming home to you, okay? Cool deal. Doesn't take much other than the willingness to say, I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired of 15 for 1, right? I'm tired of 15 for 1 and a 7 out. I'm tired of 15 for 1 and then, oh, okay, let's make it a quarter. Let's take our $25 or $35 and praying for that quarter win when you can just get a black chip off the table. That's what I'm talking about. So again, this is not rocket science. This is nothing we don't already know, right? These are all presses and bets that we've talked about on this show and other shows I've done for years and years and years, these press moves, right? The difference is the willingness to start here with a $500 bankroll versus putting yourself here with the same bankroll and saying, I'm gonna give 64 across 7 or 8 times. Screw that. Go $60 here. Matter of fact, if you want to be really after it, do this. Go 60. Right? Take the $70 hit, right? And go to 120 with it. Just pump it up. Go to 120, take 140, right? pull a black chip off that table and get out of Dodge, right? Look at that, 175, $200. Be done. Leverage your money. Take the $500, go 120 on the two numbers. Press and get out, right? Be not afraid to do that. That's the mindset difference, right? When I said the other day, mindset reset, that's what I'm talking about. It's a willingness to go, you know what? I'm going to put a little bit more percentage of my bankroll out there, right? So I can get a little bit more meaningful win a little bit quicker, right? And that's to me what it comes down to. Let me get out a little bit quicker with a little bit more oomph to it and not try and grind out $14 at a time and pray for a hot roll. I don't need a hot roll to make that work. At 64 across, I need a guy to get a 13 roller to make $100, right? With this, a little bit bigger and a willingness to say, I'm gonna let more of my bankroll burn on a loss so that I can get out of there a little quicker on a win, right? That's the mindset shift that I was trying to talk about the other day. It's not about changing the math of the game or anything else. It's about a willingness to leverage your money to make money versus keeping it so close to your vest that you can't make any money, right? Sometimes I think we low bankroll players limit our wins because we're too scared to put money out there, right? I've played with Dice Dr. Dan before and I've seen him go 330 inside and hammer press and then come on back down and be done in 3 rolls, right? And like, that's really cool. I don't have 330 to burn like that. And then I started thinking to myself, I do. If I'm buying in for 500 or 1,000, I do have 330. It's about being a willingness to put it out there, to let that happen. And if it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, then you're back at daily paycheck stuff where we say, okay, well, today you lost. Today was a loser. Maybe the next 3 days will be winners. And if you win, what was that, $220 right there? If you win 220 and you lost 120 twice, well, you're floating around. You're giving yourself a chance. I think that's what I'm trying to articulate this the best I can. This kind of a shift, right? And we talk about, on our show here, I'm going to go to questions and answers here. We talk a little bit about the journey, right? And there are people who get torqued with me, right? Because you're changing your stripes. You said this last year. You're saying this now. What I say doesn't really change, right? I want you to take it all in context, right? I still think that money management's important. I still think discipline's important. I still think all those things are important. The difference here is the money management piece, right? I'm still managing my money. I'm just using a little bit more of it versus trying to survive 10 people. I'm going to try and survive 2, right? I'm just scoping it down to a 2 or 3 shooter at max survival rate to make a more meaningful win. The leverage of that lets you grow a little quicker and more reliably. And again, the Paycheck show, talking to my math friends, has made me realize that. Watching a couple of other videos from the number file guys makes you realize that. Trying to dink and dunk forever takes too long. And when you're dinking and dunk, even if you dink and dunk and you walk after a couple of hits, $20, building a bankroll $20 at a time take you 9 years. That's what I'm getting to, right? So I think I'm becoming more willing to go double or 3 times table minimum and full press and come on back, or double 3 times table minimum for 2 hits at that higher level, 2 meaningful wins and being done. That's kind of what I do in the Paycheck. And I think I'm enjoying that style of play more for bankroll building. Now, if I'm going to grind with you for 4 hours, I'm not doing that, right? That's not a way that you play for a grind. And I said this before, your strategy is defined as how much you're betting, what you're betting on, and how long you're going to be there, and kind of what you're doing with the wins. That those things kind of combine to make a strategy. The strategy to play for a long period of time is not that, because the risk of burning a third of your bankroll 2 times in a row, it takes away your time. And if you want to be at the table for lots of time with friends, you're going to play a much more lower level, grinded out kind of a game, because you're there for time and not necessarily to hammer the profits, right? That's when your mind changes. And yes, it depends on the situation, how much of my bankroll I want to put out there and for how long. It totally depends on situation, okay? So let me see. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of, I have ever tried we've done this, right? Yeah, it's all the same levels. The quarter pound with ease at every level works. The thing is, you've got to be able to be willing, and that's, again, it's a lot of risk for a super little bit of reward, right? The thing with the quarter pounder is that the risk is really big for a little tiny bit. And what I mean by that is that 6 and 8, that little press and bye-bye thing, it's $60 in risk for $100 and some in reward. The quarter pound with ease is $100 for 25. Or 85 for 25, whatever that number is. So yeah, you got to ramp that thing up. It's a lot of risk for very little, but you do cover all the numbers. We can play around with that if you'd like to tomorrow, actually. Yeah, I think the compounding investing is it's the way to do it, right? And I've shown this before, right? If you compound your wins into your bankroll and increase the percentages, that's the way to kind of make it through. And again, if you have any experience at all in investing, that's kind of what you're doing, right? And it's just taking that to the table. I think people don't do that. I think a lot of people have, their $10,000 bankroll and they buy in for $1,000 every single time. Even if they win or lose, they're always buying in for the same, right? That increasing buy-in when you're bankroll building, I think is kind of a key to it, And I think all that combined with this style of play is just a difference maker when you're trying to build bankroll. And again, goal being build bankroll for me. Goal being playing a long time, not doing that, right? That's where we're going to go and do the, maybe a little ATS, a little bit of a hedge, and is kind of ride the thing out. So anyway, all of that is important. JR says tactics which are trustworthy for intermittent surges have recovery baked in. That is true, right? If you're playing, it's like you're going to lose, and you hit a home run. It bakes in the recovery piece. I agree with that. And again, the way that I play pretty much bakes in the recovery. I'm just saying I'm going to plan for a loss, and I need an extra couple of wins to get it covered. So let me filter here on cues. Any cues? Let's see. Duracell says leveraging is just playing a sequence that can end on big red, whatever the hole in your strat. It's true. It's to me, leveraging is being willing to be bigger at the start than you want to be, and using the wins as the next base bet. So if you win 25, your next base bet is 35. You stay at 35 until you are back down again, right? Keep your base bet a percentage of where you are. That's the difference of leveraging, right? So if I'm at 1,000 and I win 20 or I win 100, my base bet is now 110 instead of 100. Like that's kind of what I'm looking at, right? You grow those things up. I think that has been not an epiphany, but I've never really looked at my bankroll at the table that way. I've looked at my bankroll that way. I've never really looked at my session bankroll in that same light. And I think that little don't pass thing I did there, that's kind of what that's doing. It's leveraging your current stack, bet sizing as you go kind of a thing, right? And it's just a little twist of a little twist of how I think of things. And again, do I think I'm right? I don't know if I'm right. I'm telling you what I'm feeling, right? And where I'm starting to my journey turn to. As I get older and the bankroll grows, this is what I want to start doing, right? And in my personal play. And I'm just, again, sometimes this show is me teaching you things you can do, things you ought to do. Sometimes my show is I'm sharing where I'm at. And I may not be at a place that you agree with for some people. And I may be at a place that you go, oh, you're finally here. Right? I got text yesterday saying you're finally getting it, right? I got a text yesterday that said you're a fucking idiot, right? I got 2 of them. You're never going to learn, and you're finally here. I can't please everybody, right? I can only do what's good for this guy. And what's good for this guy right now is to build bankroll with a more meaningful set of bets. That's what it comes down to. So I hope that makes sense to you, right? All right, what else do we have here? And you're bankrolling for October. I think what we just said, right? Take your grand and pick a win goal. Whatever the win goal is, if it's 20%, fine. However many times you can go. If you can win 20%, your bankroll is 1,200. Now your win goal is not 200, your win goal is 240, right? Take the 240, now you're at 1,440. Your next win goal is about 150, right? Work it like that and take that, instead of going $1,000 64 across, go $1,000 110 inside, right? 2 less bets, but bigger on the inside. Full press and get out, right? build it up that way quicker. That's what I recommend that you do, right? And leverage it that way. There's going to be days where you're going to get crushed, but take that approach to it. And I would say that to build it up. That's what I'm going to do. That's exactly my plan to build up. I'm trying to, bring an extra 4,000 or 5,000 with me to Vegas for October. And this is what I plan to do. I'm going to try and leverage as I go. If it works for me, I'm going to be in great shape. If it doesn't work for me, you're going to know because I'll be eating pizza and watching you guys play. So you'll have a good sense of where I'm at in October. I say that tongue in cheek. We're going to be fine. Any other PC questions here? We have PCs. Let's see. Dan says, check my DPC spreadsheet. I thought you might have your cash out much smaller than what I cashed out for. I did. I fixed it already. I did. I put in 1655 instead of 16055. I fixed it. And I will approach Palace. When the $100 is gone, it's still gone. There's no question. But when it works out quicker and for more meaningful numbers. Like I said, $60 on the 6 and 8 versus 64 across, right? Those wins when they come are just, again, it ends up being the same, right? If you're going to be 64 across and take 3 or 4 hits versus 1 hit on a 6 or an 8, the numbers end up being the same in terms of what comes back to your rack, right? But you got to survive. You got to survive 3, 4, 5 hits, whatever rolls on your across bets. I love across betting when I'm trying to get out super fast, but only if they're meaningful size, right? And I guess that's what I'm saying. Let's see, anything else here? Double trap, triple lux, plays when it's failed to consider how much I could have collected on those numbers that didn't hit. Let's see, the play is very scalable. I'm trying to read all your text at one time there. Right, and I've had this conversation with you before too, not you, everybody. If you're going to be across versus just a 6 and 8, again, the across bets, 24 times you win, right? 6 and 8, you only got 10 chances to win. But and again, winning a little bit more often versus winning a lot less often ends up being about the same. The difference is that winning a little bit more often is harder to do. When you need to get 4 hits before 7 versus 1 or 2, right? Different conversation there. And hopefully, again, 6 or 8s are hitting and you're doing your thing. If you got the leverage to do it, go green across. I mean, if that's what you're worried about, do that. I bet across because I don't want to be there for time. To me, I optimize time. So for me, this system here looks like me going across at the green chip level, not just 6 and 8. When I do this, I'll be across at greens because I don't want to miss rolls. I don't want to waste rolls. So I'm with you, Duracell. I don't want to waste rolls. I'll go bigger and badder, but for a really short amount of time. All right, let's see. Do I think players in crapsy during LFC going all in to be at the top is not the right message? No, I do not think that. I hate that. The one thing I hate about crapsy is that people go on tilt and they don't bet realistically. Some people do, but no, I think that trying to be the top, I don't really care if I'm on top of a leaderboard, if I'm the best thrower, right? Like some of these guys are, turning their dice and faking shit to be the best thrower of the night. Some people are going all in on crapsy. I don't care, man. Just practice. Crapsy should be the best tool that we have to practice against live people. If you're going to not bet the way you would normally bet, then you're wasting your time. Wasting your time. Dan says, I'll bring pizza. Hopefully I'm not sitting there eating cheap pizza because I lost all my money, right? But anyway, I hope that all makes sense. I know that it's kind of a roundabout way of saying the same thing, right? It's like, to go back to the Duracell's point, $30 in the 6 and 8, 64 across, same amount of risk, right? The across betting means I win more often, but a tinier amount, right? It takes 4 of those wins to equal, or it takes 2.5 wins to equal 1 win on a 6 or an 8, right? So you got to win twice as often, half the money, or less than half the money to make it work, right? Again, if your bets are significantly sized and those 2 wins you get from the across are enough to hit your goal, or half of your goal, that's a different conversation than saying my across bets have to win 10 times to get to my goal. So either you ramp them all up or you focus it on a couple of numbers that you can bang out quick the goal, right? Again, mathematically it all kind of, it's all in the end a wash, right? It's a lot of it's about the experience that you want, but a lot of it also is I don't want to sit there for have to win 10 times. I'd like to just win a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? And if the 6 or 8 go down once, then instead of same betting it, the next time I do the full press and collect, right? To get that recovery piece. That's a way to recover it, right? One time same bet, if it doesn't work, okay, fine. Next time we do the full press and come down. There's ways to get out of it. So anyway, I know it's a lot of roundabout thinking, and again, it's my travels through all this is what I'm sharing with you. So as I think of things and as I process things, I'm sharing them. So, all right, Skill reminds me that it's time. I'm out of time. It's 9 o'clock. We started late, and I apologize for the late start, but that means a quicker show, and I'm out of here, guys. Y'all have a great day. Love all you. Thanks for being in here. We have, 20 people, 40 people here. My God, 40 people here watching me spin on this topic. It's great. Love y'all. God bless every one of you guys, and thanks for the birthday wishes and for the prayers for my mom. Really appreciate it. And with all that said, guys, God bless you, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's Friday, right? Tomorrow Friday? Yeah, tomorrow's Friday. Tomorrow is Ask Me Anything Day. Bring your questions. Bring all your questions, non-craps related if you want. I'll answer any question you want me to answer, almost. As long as it's safe for work, I'll answer your questions. Tomorrow, Ask Me Anything. All bets on the table. We'll have a good one. In the meantime, love y'all. God bless. Happy Thursday. Bye, y'all.